Hello everybody, it's been a very good start to the new year. You have already borrowed hundreds of books from the library. This is a message for Key Stage 3, that's Year 7, Year 8 and Year 9, and form tutors and parents. Starting next week, that's the week commencing the 2nd of October, you will all be coming down form by form with your whole form group to the LRC, to the library, to prove to me that you are reading ambitiously. And there are lots of ways that you can do that. One is to show me what you're reading, bring a book from home and show me, say, hey, I'm reading this book, and I will make a little note of that. Or if you don't have a book to read at the moment, you can borrow a book from our wonderful library collection. The point here is so that we know that you are reading ambitiously, that you are challenging yourself with your reading, and you are spending a little bit of your time at home reading. And we do this because we know that reading in your spare time is one of, if not the most transformative thing that you can do in terms of improving your life chances. I'm not going to talk about that now, but if you're interested, if you want proof, if you don't believe me, then go and watch my other YouTube videos, because it's all science, it's all been backed up. Reading is a really good idea, okay? Just trust me. Form tutors, I've sent you a timetable, so you know when you're coming down. 2 forms per form time, that's 15 minutes. That's not a lot of time. It's possible, but it's going to be tight. So, pupils, there's a couple of favours that you can do for me to save us time. Anybody who comes to visit me in the LRC over the next 3 weeks for that purpose, to prove to me that you're reading ambitiously and says, look, hi, I'm reading this right now, or comes to the library, borrows a book, and says, this is the book that I'm going to be reading when my form time comes down. If you do that ahead of time, in your spare time, at break, at lunchtime, before school, after school, takes 2 minutes, you'll get a credit from me, because then I can cross you off the list, and I don't need to speak to you when it's form time. You can just bring that book with you and you can sit down and read. If your whole form does that, and I cross everybody off the list for a whole form group, then when it's your turn for your form to come down, job's done. So you can just come down here and we can drink tea and eat biscuits, swap stories, just have a grand old time. I'm serious, that's the purpose. So if you get that done beforehand, good, credits all round. Alternatively, you can go onto the online library collection by going to the internet browser, click on the really obvious library button, then click sign in on the top right hand corner and click the blue button at the top that says sign in with Azure AD. That automatically signs you in to your account. You don't need a username or a password, it will automatically sign you in. And then if you find a book in that collection that you want to read, you can click reserve. That pings a message over to me to say that you've reserved that book. Can I help? Bye. That you've reserved that book, and then I can put it aside for you, so then when your form comes down, I can just hand that book to you because I know that's the book that's reserved. Again, that comes with a credit. I'll give you a credit for that because you've used your initiative, you've thought ahead of time, and you've saved us all some time, and that's a good thing, that's a wonderful thing, it's a very kind thing to do. And so I'm going to celebrate that, I'm going to celebrate your initiative and reward you in kind with credits. Again, if your whole form manages to do that, then I'll just have a stack of books with everybody's names on, and you can turn up and I'll just hand the books out. There you go, they've got your books, sit down, read them. Again, you know, biscuits, tea, swap stories, have a grand old time. If there are any parents watching this, if you have any library books lying around at home that aren't being read, please encourage them back into school. If you have any books lying around actually that aren't being read, destined for the charity shops, and you'd rather donate them to the school library because you think they would suit us, they'd fit in our library, please, bring them into school. We would love to accept donations. Basically, I want the library collection to be full to bursting with options for this, because we're going to have the whole of Key Stage 3 come through. That's about 750 pupils. By the end of that, we're probably going to be absolutely decimated. So yeah, it would be good to have some books. If you've got anything lying around, please, we'll take them. And pupils, obviously, if you've got a library book that you know is overdue, it's been hanging around in your bag for ages, just bring it into the library so that other people can borrow it. That'd be really good. Thank you. One last thing from me. I just want to send this message to everybody. Comics are real books. This is about reading ambitiously. This is about challenging yourself. And for some people, that means you're reading already, you're comfortable with reading, you quite like reading, maybe you love reading, maybe reading is your thing. But that means, okay, picking something that's going to be difficult, something that's going to challenge you emotionally or intellectually, or maybe just the text. Maybe it's just really big, long book, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort to read that. That's a challenge, that's good. But for some people, you might actually find motivating yourself to read quite difficult. That is a challenge, right? You might find, okay, no, I can't, I'm struggling. I take a book home, but I just don't read it. If taking a comic book from our library means you're more likely to read it, it's still a challenge for you to convince yourself to take some of your spare time and spend that reading, then take a comic book. That's a challenge, that's ambitious. And that's the whole point of this, is to be ambitious. Just be aware that later down the line, you know, if all you're reading is comic books, I might be on your case, and I might come and see you and have a conversation with you about, okay, well, let's pick something a little bit more challenging, because, of course, as you get further down the line, as you do your GCSEs and A-levels, it's a good idea to have a grasp of, you know, long form, big texts with lots of words and lots of big words in. So we do want you to be reading that stuff. But right now, if you're at that point where reading is a challenge just in terms of motivation, take a comic book, take something, whatever inspires you to read, that's the book you want. Cool? Kicks off next week. See you then. Or before, hopefully. Bye.